Drawing really becomes fun when you really understand the way you like to draw, the way you like to create. For me personally, I enjoy doing line art. I enjoy painting, and I want to learn how to do both at the same time. I want to learn how to create comics and learn how to paint. So just figuring out how I can combine those two, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to create my own custom brushes is to just have my own tools that I use on a day-to-day basis that I can use to create what I want to create and draw what I want to draw. And part of that is just being a kid again, having fun, drawing like I was a kid again, and using whatever tools I can, whatever tools I can get my hands on to create what I have imagined. And that's what's so cool about being an artist is like we take the ideas in our head and we put them on a page, on a piece of paper, and make them real. And that feeling, that satisfaction that you get is uh, really rewarding. It's because like we take this idea, put it on the page, and make it exist, and that's really cool. It's cool how God gives us like the imagination and the creativity to go and create things as artists that no one has ever done before, no one has ever seen before, and it's really cool to explore that and to get all my ideas out of my head. And so a part of that is just creating these custom brushes in Clip Studio Paint that I can use for my own process and uh, my own artwork. I specifically created these brushes. Uh, I'm calling this like toolkit, this pack of brushes, Aviance Essentials. These are going to be the essential brushes that I use going forward in the future to create the comics I want to create and the paintings and artwork I want to create in the future. And if you want to go download them, they're available on my Gumroad. The link is in the description. You can go download them for free. But yeah, I'm enjoying these brushes, and I'm sure that you will too. Um, the first, what, one, two, three, four brushes are brushes specifically for sketching. The next one, two, three, four, five, six are for inking, and the last five are for painting. And I really wanted to keep this as simple as possible so that I don't have like a 300 pack a library of brushes, you know. I only need these 15 brushes, and that's why I wanted to recreate my Avion brush pack in the first place. If you went and downloaded that, go download this new one because these are the new brushes that I'm using now currently, and they're a lot simplified. It's a lot more simple. Uh, I simplified these brushes into the brushes that I'm actually using on the day-to-day basis, and that I will continue to use um, for my digital art and everything that I create. And so my previous brush pack had about 20 some brushes, 21 or something. I just simplified it, broke it down into its most simplest form, and what I really enjoy about this is that I'm able to really sketch, do line art, and paint with these tools, and it's really fun, especially this Avion HB pencil. I can get this really cool shaded kind of a pencil look, and then with these sharper, crisp lines as well, act as shading and just feel like a traditional HB pencil. And that's what I'm going to go forward. Going forward, that's what I'm going to be using to create my comics and stuff. So I imagine that the paintbrushes that I have will be for creating artwork like this, finished pieces of artwork, maybe like cover artwork for the comics I create. And then all my inking brushes for my, obviously, inking and making comics. So I hope that you enjoy them. I know that you will because I have been enjoying them as well. And when you download the toolkit, I also have like a tutorial for how to make this digital drawing experience feel more traditional and just really calibrate your pen settings. So go check that out and enjoy. So here's the process for creating the artwork that you saw of my character Eris. I have up some reference of previous drawings. One drawing is a character sheet, and then the other one is an actual like more rendered and painted character illustration, just for reference on how I want to continue to render my artwork and the kind of style I'm going for as I move forward and draw more pictures and draw more characters. And so I have those up for reference, but I also have on this on my second screen reference of the landscape that I will be painting and drawing. I recommend that you do that as well instead of trying to rely on your imagination for color. Just look at real life, look at reference photos, and just copy like a color scheme that you like, especially for like landscapes and drawing environments. You don't have to really make anything up. There's a thousand landscape pictures that already exist that you can take inspiration from and use for reference. But in the beginning here, I was really using what was I using? My sketch brushes, really. Yeah, just my Avion mechanical pencil and also my ballpoint pen to really create the sketch for the character and the beginning line work to lay down for my painting and rendering. This really helped me to figure out where everything goes. Um, for me, it's really hard to just start painting things. I really do rely on lines to figure out where everything needs to go. And then after that, that's when I start rendering and painting things. And here you can see I'm laying down the flat colors with my Avion paint brushes. And that's how I'm able to like lay down flat colors and shade very easily at the same time and move forward with the process. At this point, I'm just really like trying to figure out how the lighting works on the character, how the reflections work on the metal and the swords, and I can get better at that. But overall, I like it. I like how it looks. Just really like blending different colors and atmospheric light and bounce light on these objects and on the character's clothing and skin, and really uh, just being just having as much fun as possible with this process. But as you can see, I start by laying down the flat colors, shading everything, and all of this is on one layer, but I copy and paste. Uh, I usually I usually create a new layer on top of an old layer so that I can see my progress being made. So if I turn the layers off, I can see what decisions I made and how I made them. But before I even really start rendering anything, what I really do is really establish all my lighting, all my bounce light, beforehand on the character before I go over the line work that I created, like that sketch layer, and then I start rendering everything. So you can still see in my layer menu that I'm just really relying on one layer for my shading, and then that's when I go and merge my sketch layer down into my painting layer so that I can just start rendering everything, and that just helps me paint without painting, if that makes sense. Like I said, I don't really um it's a struggle for me to really just start with painting and then render from there. I really do rely on line work to help me paint and render things that I need to paint, um, which is not necessarily the traditional way of doing it, but it works for me, you know. Because when you paint, you want to really just utilize shapes of light and shadow and create forms that way. But for me, I like to create my forms with lines first and then render and shade on top of that. And so that's what I'm doing. But I keep backups of the layers just so that I can see my progress being made. And that's why you see there's three different layer folders with Eris in it. There's Eris 3, Eris 2, and then Eris. And each of those layer folders has uh, the process from start to finish, from sketch to render to final render. And that's the way I like to work and the way I like to do things. And just utilizing my layer functions in my digital drawing program, Clip Studio Paint, to my advantage to be able to create what I want to create and what I've envisioned. And so don't be afraid to use layers. Layers are good. Just also don't be afraid to like just start sketching and putting stuff down on the page because it is digital, and that's why I have copies of different layers so that if I do mess up, maybe I like the decision I made in the previous on one of the previous layers, I can go back and do that. But I don't really necessarily have to do that because if your planning is right uh, and you sketch everything the way you want it to be in the first place. You don't necessarily have to move back and forth uh, and kind of like struggle to make decisions in the drawing process. But yeah, at this point, it's just really a lot of rendering, and that's what I'm using the dense paint tool to do, just to really paint and render. And I really, like I said, just rely on my line work to understand where everything needs to go, and that's just my process. I encourage you to find your own process and way of doing things. This is my way of doing things and how I enjoy painting and drawing. But like I said earlier, that's why you just really got to be a kid again and go back to doing what you like to do the way you like to do it, and learning new things, learning new techniques, and figuring out how you can implement those new techniques into your current process today. Because the more you do that, the more you'll understand the way you like to work, the way you don't like to work. And for me, I don't like just painting without lines, so that's why I have to have line work down. I have to put lines down first so that I can understand what I need to do later. And that only came with me like painting without lines and trying that out and figuring out that I don't like that, so don't be afraid to experiment, especially with digital art, because it's so easy to um, press Control Z, and just redo something. But yeah, as you can see, I'm pretty much just using the Avian Paint dense brush for this part of the process and rendering process. It's very simple to use, very easy to use, and I'm still able to establish like the lines in the drawing with this brush as well, as well as paint and render at the same time. And after a certain point, I can't use that anymore because I like to add like really reflective lighting, and I just use the basic Clip Studio uh, round brush to add lighting effects and things like that with different layer modes. And so that's how I start making things shine and look shiny and look magical and things like that. And just add like light to different particles and different bounce light. But yeah, start drawing like a kid again. Remember what you even started drawing for, whether it was to create your own worlds, draw your own characters. Uh, just go have fun with this process and experiment. That's one of the advantages of digital art, is that you can just experiment with any tool that you would like and figure out how you want to implement that into your own style. Just enjoy the process, enjoy drawing like a kid again, experiment, and just have fun with the brushes that you have. Um, these are the brushes that I use on a day-to-day basis, and that's what's helping me create the artwork I want to create and draw what I want to draw. And I'm super excited to really utilize these tools for my own projects, and they'll help you do the same. So I'll see you in the next video, and peace. Have a good one.